Itong paglalagay ng budget sa blockchain, it's just one aspect of what we want to do, no? Isang aspeto yan. Let me ask si Attorney Rosario from DBM. Itong paglalagay ng budget sa blockchain, ito po bago po to, di ba? And of course, yung AI, satellite technology, drones, that's all readily available already. Hindi na yan mga bagong teknolohiya, nandyan na yan, di ba? Pero yung ibang nabanggit ni Attorney Third na digitalization, cross-operability ng mga agencies, we already have laws for that, di ba? Hindi lang siya na-i-implement, no? Tama ba, Attorney?
Mr. Chair, so far, we have existing laws and regulations. However, we are also lobbying for the progressive, modernized, for better budgeting po. This is part of the LEDAC, which reinforces the needs for the integrated financial management information system.
Oh.
So we have executive order as well. Currently po, yun po yung pinanghahawakan po ng DBM to enhance our digitalization efforts.
But you don't need a law anymore for this kasi lahat ng batas na kailangan nyo for digitalization. Maybe I'll ask si Sec Henry kasi tumutungo siya. No? So, Sec Henry, do we need a new law for digitalization? We don't, di ba?
For digitalization, Mr. Chair, hindi na.
Hindi na.
It's just a matter of execution and implementation.
Okay, so the laws that Attorney Bagro, the framework that Attorney Bagro mentioned, actually, nandiyan na yung mga batas eh. Sa totoo lang, it's now implementation. Itong paglalagay ng budget on blockchain or similar technology, it probably needs a law unless DBM wants to pursue it on its own, which I think it's probably doing already. Pero yung nakikita ko kasi, if the budget, which is sabi nga namin ni Senator Robin, pinakamahalagang batas na nilalabas every year is the budget, di ba? Kung yun ay naka-blockchain, mas mapapabilis yung digitalization ng ibang mga ahensya. Because the mother document is now digital, interoperable, and on the blockchain. So kailangan talagang sumunod na yung mga ibang ahensya na hindi pa gaanong sumusunod. No? Sec Henry, tama po ba?
Mr. Chair, tamang-tama po. Dadali po yung trabaho ko dyan. Kaya sinusuportahan po namin yung i-blockchain kaagad kung po pwede, Mr. Chair, yung 2026 GAA. Para lahat ng disbursement pwede na nating matrace sa GAA.
Okay, we'll get to you, Secretary. Ikaw yung ating panghuli. Bayani Ventures, please go ahead.
Hey,
I'm sorry, it's Bayani Chain Ventures.
Bayani Chain.
Sige, dun sa mga individuals na sila yung, kunyari, you have your procurement in Baguio, di ba? May
Yes,
procurement
Mr. Chair.
office ka. Gaano kalaking pagbabago sa mga proseso nila yung mangyayari kapag nilagay na sa blockchain yung kanilang mga proseso?
Actually, Mr. Chair, kailangan lang nila po ng point person na mag-upload and mag-encode po ng procurement records.
But aren't the records already in one form or the other digital?
Yes, pero for future, like for example, 2026 onwards, i-record na po nila through their system and through the blockchain.
And is that, are they recording it directly into a software or are they scanning paper documents and you're creating copies of PDFs online or diretso nilang nilalagay?
I can't fully answer that yet, Mr. Chair, kasi I don't have the concrete answer.
But both, pwedeng both?
Pwedeng both po, yes, Mr.
Pwedeng
Chair.
both. No? Depende lang sa server space ninyo. Kung gaano kalaking server space yan. Kasi I'm sure kung national government to, napakalaking server space yung kailangan. But that's why it's immutable kasi you're uploading all of the relevant information, no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Sige. So babantayan namin yan. We hope that we can get more updates no as the months go on kasi we wish you the best dito sa pilot nyo sa Baguio.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Chair.
thank you, Jello. Just a few questions. Then si Senator Robin has a few questions also, no? Nung nilabas ho namin to, may mga nagkomento online na nuclear bomb ito pagdating sa corruption. Ano pong komento nyo dyan?
Hindi lang nuclear bomb. Medyo 100 years na radioactive yan, Mr. Chairman. Ito po ang sagot Mr. Chairman, sa corruption. Kaya nung nalaman ko po na nagbalangkas po kayo ng bill dito, ay alam niyo naman po, bila ako kayong linapitan at tuwan-tuwa po kami. Hindi lang po sa Pilipinas na kasi ginamit yan. Yung bansa po na ginagamit nating standard for governance, Estonia, ay ginamit na rin po to sa Estonia. Proven po itong technology na to. And 6 years of using this, malayo na po narating natin. Time na po para gamitin natin, Mr. Chair.
Secretary, palagay ko magandang madaliin natin to, especially sa nangyayari sa ating bansa. Would you propose to make this bill or would you propose to the President na i-certify na urgent ang batas na ito?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Alright, aasahan po namin yan, Secretary.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Senator Robin.
Ginoong Kalihim, opo, nung minsan po akong umattend ng convention ng blockchain, opo, ang pinag-usapan po doon ay para sa mga small businesses. Totoo po ba makakatulong ito sa ating mga small businesses?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, yes. Bigyan ko po kayo ng ehemplo. May mga nagninegosyo na sa atin ngayon na yung mga negosyante natin na maliliit, hindi makabili ng malaking lote. So paano sila magninegosyo? Through blockchain, fractionalize nila yung mga lote. Isa pong example, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, meron na tayong digital asset law. Pwede mo nang i-digitize lahat ng asset at kami po sa bangko, ina-advocate namin yan. Kasi yung digital asset, pag na-digitize yan, pwede mong i-collateral ba? Tapos makakapangutang ka. Yan po yung kailangan ng mga MSME. So, malaking bagay po to.
Meron na po ba kayong koordinasyon sa DTI?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yes po. Actually, isa rin po yan sa gustong itulak ng DTI. Kasi doon sa MSME push po ng DTI, isa rin po yan sa sinasabi natin na pwedeng next cottage industry po rin natin.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Tagapangulo. Alam niyo po, kung ito po ay naging effective anti-terrorism, sigurado po sa mas magandang bagay, ito po ay talagang panalong-panalo. Kaya muli po, congratulations, boss.
Salamat, Senator. So, anti-terrorism, ngayon naman po anti-corruption, no? Thank you so much, Secretary Aguda, for that presentation. Let me ask Mr. Abante. Si Ken po is one of the co-conveners of the People's Budget Coalition, also worked in DOF, no? Some years back. Ken, ano yung mga dokumento na mahalagang isama natin dito sa batas na ilalagay sa blockchain? Now, of course, ano naman po yan? We will create measures for, kung kailangan ng future documents, no? May space naman po yan. But right now, sa nakikita mong nangyayari sa bansa natin, kung saan nakatago yung korupsyon, saan pinapalobo yung mga presyo, for People's Budget Coalition, ano yung mga dokumentong mahalagang makita sa blockchain?
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair. Naniniwala po kami that sunlight is the best disinfectant. No? At mahalaga na hindi lamang transparency yung meron, kundi people's participation at accountability. Yung tatlong pillars po talaga na yun, yung kailangan for corruption prevention and the restoration of trust in the budget process. Pero po dito sa tanong ninyo tungkol sa transparency, yung mga citizen monitors po natin are asking for free, public, and machine-readable access to the following. No? I will ask certain questions and then I will enumerate the documents that are needed. Una po, tama po ba yung programa, yung presyo at kalidad ng materyales? Yung mga documents po na nasa procurement ay yung tinatawag nating Program of Works, Bill of Quantities.
I will ask DBM later to also comment on this.
Apo. Yung tinatawag po nating Detailed Unit Price Analysis o DUPA, doon po makikita yung mga materyales, yung presyo ng materyales. At mahalaga rin pong malaman yung bid opening minutes ng Bids and Awards Committee Secretary that detail the competing bids. No? So, unang tanong, tama ba ang presyo at kalidad ng programa? Pangalawa po na mahalagang tanong, no? Ang mga bidders ba ay technically, legally, and financially eligible na mag-bid? Sila ba ay na-blacklist? Undercapitalized ba sila? No? In order to find this out, very important po na magkaroon ng access ang citizen monitors to the audited financial statements, to the general information sheets and the articles of incorporation. Na gusto ko pong sabihin that these are expensive and difficult to get. In fact, I was just talking to our friends who are investigative journalists from Rappler who did the expose on Congressman Zaldico, sina Dwight De Leon and Casey Valmonte. Sinabi po nila na it cost them 30,000 pesos, no, to get these documents from the SEC. We need these to be free, we need these to be open, and we need these to be machine readable. Otherwise po, may hirapan yung mga bids and awards committees to figure out whether these bidders are in fact financially, legally, and technically eligible to bid.
Question. Is SEC here? May SEC rep? Yes, ayun pala. Attorney Ong. Are these documents public documents? Meaning no issues for the public to access these documents? Meron lang kayong fees?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Opo.
Tama, di ba?
Yes, Mr.
So hindi to walang issue about privacy here, no?
None, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so if we were to include in the law that all bidders need to have their audited, what are those documents again?
Audited financial statements, general information sheets, articles of incorporation.
Oh, if we were to include in the law that all bidders for national government projects or programs need to attach these documents, SEC could provide those documents.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And our data systems can be integrated also to the blockchain.
All right, thank you.
Opo. So, still on the concern of bidders being eligible, mahalaga rin pong ma-fast track yung implementation ng tinatawag po nating Ultimate Beneficial Ownership Registry that is actually in the new Government Procurement Act, Mr. Chair. Yung Ultimate Beneficial Owner, it just asks the question, sino ba talaga ang may-ari ng kumpanya? No? Meron bang layers ng mga owners ito that proceed to conflict of interest in the bidding process? Membro ba ng BAC yung actual, may relationship ba yung member sa BAC doon sa contractor? No? Kailangan pong malaman yan. And the Ultimate Beneficial Ownership Registry, which is supposed to be public, is actually already in the NGPA and needs to be fast-tracked as well. In fact, this is part of the SEC and the DBM's commitment under the Open Government Challenge, which we helped push as part of the People's Budget Coalition. So we hope for the fast-tracking of this Ultimate Beneficial Ownership Registry, sir. So, dun naman sa mga bidder information, pagkatapos po nun, yung sunod na tanong, na-deliver ba yung actual goods and services and infrastructure? Ano po yung mga documents na mahalaga dito in procurement monitoring? Una, yung Inspection and Acceptance Reports or IAR na pinipiramahan po ng mga ahensya. No? Importante po na meron yan, including the delivery receipts. No? Kasi malalaman po natin dyan kung sino yung nag-receive. Nasabi niya ba na meron talagang programa? At kung sino yung nag-sign, accountable siya, no? Sa kung nabayaran ba talaga, kung mababayaran ba talaga yung contractor o hindi, no? And then finally po, we can give you a whole list. Medyo mahaba-haba po yung listahan na to. It's also supported by the Right to Know Right Now Coalition, which is a freedom of information coalition. Yung next po ay na-audit ba ito ng COA? No? Tragically po, under the current budget system, the Commission on Audit reports are only available up to 2023 because there is a general provision under the current national budget, Mr. Chair, that prevents agencies or the COA from uploading datasets without agencies commenting on it. This makes the audit process opaque, no? Whereas before, dapat natatanong po siya actually during the budget hearings, pero ngayon wala pong information that's accessible by the general public. In fact, the budget and the audits became more opaque, no, over the past few years because of that change in the general appropriations law. And finally po, yung open data portal po ng PhilJEPS, which is very important. Yung Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System po, mahalaga na magkaroon po ng tinatawag na proactive disclosure ng information. No, yung problema po ngayon sa PhilJEPS 1.5, which they're trying to remedy through the modernized PhilJEPS, the latest data is that only three, saan na ba yan? only 3 out of 7 pilot agencies and 8 out of 20 pioneer agencies are using the modernized PhilJEPS e-bidding facility. Yung current po na PhilJEPS 1.5 is only posting the information in PhilJEPS and also posting the award. So in the middle po, very manual yung process, no? But when we support the agencies in transitioning to the modernized PhilJEPS, no, partner po namin yung procurement service and they're very committed civil servants who are there. Mas mabibigyan po ng laman yung sinasabi po kanina nung ating mga resource persons from Bayani Chain and from Tiwala and from the FinTech Association na magkaroon na ng mga dokumento na ganito, no? Para magkaroon ng tinatawag pong red flag indicators in the procurement system, no? Para malaman kung masyado bang mataas yung materyales, among other standards. There is in fact, Mr. Chair, an internationally recognized standard called the Open Contracting Data Standard, no, that lists which variables can be structured here, no. It's a technical discussion, pero babalik nga po doon sa tanong na doon sa mga tanong na tama ba ang presyo at kalidad? Mga bidders ba ay technically, legally, and financially eligible? Na-deliver ba yung goods? Na-audit na ba siya? And if we are able to upload these in a free, machine-readable way, it will be a very big help to citizen monitors like us.
Thank you, Ken. Secretary Aguda, let me ask some questions here. No? So, initially, nakikita ko na up to a certain level, kayang mag-upload ka agad, di ba? Kasi these documents are available. And to address the concerns about DPWH projects, yung mga kontrata, and the further documents, I think they can be uploaded relatively fast kasi nandiyan na yan, di ba? Pero yung ibang pinag-uusapan ni Ken, all of these other reports, ma-upload din ba kaagad yun? Or it will take time to get all those documents on the blockchain? O nasa atin yan? Nasa atin lang lahat yan?
Mr. Chair, I can only speak with my experience in the ICT. No? So in the ICT, 6 months in, I've been looking for all the documents, paper or electronic. And this is already the ICT. So it took us 6 months just to upload all of the transactions related to free Wi-Fi. And they're of various formats. So the problem is they don't adhere to a standard schema. All the transactional reports that they've mentioned earlier, it's nice to hear that they're standard reports, but the way they fill it up, it's not standard. So what we do, and you mentioned this earlier, Mr. Chair, we uploaded everything on AI. So we created a huge data store. We uploaded all what we call the artifacts. Uploading and getting the data took us 6 months. Coming up with the price book, which we now know should be the price across. Coming out with the standard specs for everything that we need to standardize took us only a day. So the biggest work, the hardest work, is to gather the information. Kasi it's not just finding it, it's the bureaucracy of you have to go down several levels before somebody can say, hindi lang yung finance head kasi Mr. Chair ang mag-authorize. Yung finance head will be dependent on 3 or 4 layers below. Minalas na lang sila, makulit ako eh. So talaga bumaba akong level. So I think it's the info gathering. But once you upload everything, like what our technical resources mentioned, technology is not the problem. It's going to be getting the information, navigating the process, and moving the people to comply. That's my experience, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So, syempre, ang nakikita ko kasi is pwede mag-phasing, di ba? So, the phase 1 could be simply publishing. Di ba? Yung mga kontrata ng public works na maraming gustong tumingin at gustong i-check kung ano ba talaga to, kung tama ba yung mga presyo. Phase 1 could simply be publishing, closer to the full disclosure bill that we've seen in the past. Phase 2 could be maybe identifying key agencies with the biggest procurement and what layers that they need to need to put on the blockchain. Diba? And then maybe phase 3 could be the other aspects and other agencies na siguro mas malilit yung budget. Obviously, we can identify the agencies with the biggest budgets like DPWH, DOH, DepEd. No? Ito yung mga big ticket items kasi. No? Pero siguro, Sec Henry, tama ba? We can look at a phasing of this. In the first phase, just publishing it, I think, will already be a big win for the people. And then putting it on blockchain para mas understandable, pwede mo gamitin ng mga apps and other technologies would be the second phase. Without pegging you to these numbers, sa tingin mo, and maybe I can ask Donald also, sa tingin mo, how long will it take to get to where we want to go and with all of these different phases that we need to go through?
Mr. Chair, medyo I'm biased towards speed eh. Ang sabi ko nga, execution over perfection eh. So, and if I may suggest, Mr. Chair, kung susundan natin ng mabuti yung spending pattern ng gobyerno, nagsisimula sa GAA. So pag sinimulan nyo sa GAA, pinablish yung GAA, and you require, siguro may 3 months pa before any bidding, any procurement can happen. So if you publish the GAA early by December or November, madaling ilagay sa blockchain yun because it's just a document that you put on the blockchain. Yung convention na lang ng mga index, numero, yun lang pag-usapan. Pag sinundan nyo yung procurement, naka-blockchain siya, naka-publish na, lahat ng tao makikita na sa blockchain yung GAA, sundan natin yung value chain up to the point na ma-disperse. Kasi bago naman ma-disperse yung pera sa kaban ng bayan, dadaan niya ng mga 3 to 6 months. Eh di sundan natin. And if I may suggest, Mr. Chair, sampulan natin with DBM there, then DPWH, yung moving forward. Kasi nandiyan si Sec Vince ngayon, medyo makabago. Ang objective is not the whole government in 1 year, but one major government agency. If you do DBM and DPWH, baka nga sa DPWH, hindi naman lahat. Baka muna yung mga key infra. Matapos siya ng isang buong taon, Mr. Chair, uulit-ulitin na lang natin. That's how I would suggest it. So kung ang tanong niyo sa akin, gaano kabilis, I think in 1 year, if we really have the political will to do this, because we have the technical capability, simulan natin dun sa ganung value chain approach, Mr. Chair.
All right. DBM, Attorney, sorry may glare. Attorney Del Rosario, yeah. Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to highlight po that putting the documents in the blockchain is easy. We actually did that with Bayani Chain for less than a year, some few months. But I understand it takes us a long time to do process re-engineering itself. But for genuine fundamental change po to happen in blockchain, it has to be on the unified account code structure level. So meaning, for public finance practitioners, we have to put in the chain there are 4 element owners po dun. That's DBM, COA, Philippine Statistical Authority, and yung treasury and and the agency. So that's the organization code, funding source, object code, sub-object, even up to the location code po, CPSA po yung element owner nun. So in order for us to do that, it has to be the blockchain has to be on the ledger level. It takes us a long time. In fact po, when we started our term, Sec Mina asked me to start the blockchain since 2022. So for blockchain practitioners, decentralized finance is the holy grail. So yun po yung goal po natin is to decentralize our public finance. And in order to do that, up to UX code level po talaga. However, for us to do something very quick, naisip po namin, SARO NCA muna, yung ilagay sa blockchain.
Yeah, SARO NCA kasi will help us with where the money should go.
Yes.
Pero with how the money is used, hindi pa eh.
Yes po.
Diba? Kasi those are the contracts of the agencies.
Yes.
No? And a lot of the corruption we're uncovering is at that level. No? So yung SARO at NCA, matutukoy natin kung may pondo. Actually, mas maganda kung alam mo yung proponent. Although wala rin naman yun sa SARO at NCA, it just shows the item and whether there's cash available. But to be able to really understand kung nasaan nangyayari yung pagnanakaw, we have to go to the contract level at the agency level. And although these records are not with DBM, they're actually with the legislators, yung proponents. Diba? So I think what you're doing is definitely commendable. It's a great first step. Pero to address our concern, we have to go to the agencies. And I will subscribe to what Secretary Henry said, na unahin na natin yung DPWH. Diba? At kung makikita natin yung mga kontrata doon hanggang DUPA, tama ba? Hanggang DUPA, no, mas ma-analyze natin kung merong katiwalian o wala, no? But thank you, Attorney. So it's 11:58. I'm going to open the floor now for anyone who wants to give a statement either of support or of concern. Baka naman po may mga gusto ko yung banggitin ng mga red flags na hindi pa na pag-uusapan. Now is the time. Maybe we can start with the Blockchain Council, then we'll have Ms. Chongson of the FinTech Alliance next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. On behalf of the Blockchain Council, of course, it goes without saying that you have our full backing and support. We issued a formal statement of support already, to your office. What I always tell people is that first, when you say blockchain, we have to understand there's the tech side and the people side, right? So technology is used by people. So in the end, tech is only as powerful as the people who are using it. And therefore, when we say blockchain, and we have to understand that that tech will work only if the nodes are executed and distributed also. Otherwise, kung ang blockchain, lahat ng computer in a way, kung lahat po ng nodes ay nasa iisang grupo din, hindi rin siya blockchain. Kumbaga, pinost lang natin, bulletin board lang siya. And that is why it is important also on that side, having said that, that important that the nodes are distributed. We can, for example, we were talking with Yusek David Almirol din, we have the eGov chain. Sana kumalat din yung nodes. Maybe DBM or other offices would have that. What is also very important is on the people side. People meaning the ones who use it and the ones who puts that right number, that real document into the budget. That has to be part of the system, whether it's a GAION or SANEP. But and the reason why we launched, if you've seen the news, why we launched the integrity chain, was that on top of the technology, it was actually very much on the people side. More than 50 organizations pledged their statement of support. And Secretary Henry was one of those also who were there to support it. Because we want the private sector, the organizations, to take an active part. In fact, it took us a lot of time because when we were saying yung nodes, di nila magets so kailangan ka namin bumili ng computer. So sabi namin, sige, wag muna. Kasi ang habang explanation and the legal part and everything. So what we said was that the integrity chain, all the private sector, Management Association of the Philippines, MBC, Makati Business Club, all the whatever association, sila po yung nag-release po ng statement on the corruption na we detest the corruption. So sabi ko, why don't we, instead of just keeping on issuing statements, can we do something about it? And that's why we said, let them be part of the process of checking also, right? Which is the essence of a participative democracy. So with that, and that's why the integrity chain was created, we hope that in 60 days we can deploy something as fast as the GoodGov chain. The essence is the people. All the organizations will be now looking at it also. Right? So, kasi nga, number one, kailangan yung nodes, yung tech, distributed yung computer, otherwise it doesn't make sense. At the same time, lahat sinasabi natin, lahat titingin, pwedeng tumingin. Pero sino ba talaga ang titingin? Kasi hindi naman pwedeng buong Pilipinas titingin at lahat may comment. So we have to give that responsibility to certain groups. People here, we all represent certain groups. We are checking also. And whether the tech will solve the problem, at the very least, we know from the people side, mas mahirap kasing kumuha kung lahat nakatingin Right? And we will now ask the real questions. Those who are more in the know. And because of that, but one final thing, Mr. Chair, I always say, it's important to have that first step. Because technology in itself, nakakatakot yan right? There are just too many unknowns. And so because there are too many unknowns, when you talk about darkness, you only move because you have to take one step at a time, and that's experiment. And that's why in the integrity chain with DPWH, it was very clear to us, only foreign assisted projects, put it on the chain, gather a technical working group, pag-usapan natin paano ilalagay, and then sino ang titingin, sino ang magko-comment. And we are more than willing, no? Whatever learnings we have, we will provide it to you, Mr. Chair, para makita nyo rin how it's moving.
Regarding the DPWH project with blockchain, so it's only the foreign-assisted
Yes,
projects.
correct, Mr. Chair. For the moment.
Wala kayong for the moment.
Yes.
Are you eventually going to go to the local projects? Kasi yan yung pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, di ba? Sa Blue Ribbon,
Yeah.
yan yung mga na-expose. As Secretary Dizon, have you talked to Secretary Dizon
That's
about
right.
putting the locally funded projects or the GAA funded
Yes.
projects on the blockchain?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Pero what is always important in any tech adoption is always the MVP. It's always the pilot first before it explodes.
So the foreign is the pilot, right?
Correct, that's
Anong
right.
timeline mo to include the local projects?
We haven't discussed that, no? But our target is that in the next 30 to 60 days, dapat we have one pilot done. And then in the 90 to 180 days now, we scale it immediately. Because like any pilot,
Yes.
di ko rin pwede sabihin 90 days okay na eh. Because like any pilot, you will have to test and learn, adjust, and we're changing systems and processes eh. And there again, it's a tech part and the people part. What we can assure of is because everyone is now watching, we will have to move fast because we're all committed to this.
Yes. So thank you for that, Donald. No? So ang nangyayari is may pilot si Bayani, si Tiwala, you're all doing your own work.
Yes, sir.
Of course, you have the pilot already with DPWH. DBM has its own work here. We will use the committee as a way to gather the best practices.
That's right.
And I'm assuming Sec Henry will be on top of this kasi in the law, it is the ICT that we that we put on top of this initiative. Gamitin po natin tong hearings and ito pong committee to really get the best practices, no? So we're able to move fast. And I'm hoping that you can all move forward even before the law is passed.
Yes.
And then when the law is finally passed, at least we have your learnings already to help in the implementation para hindi rin tayo starting from zero. Kumbaga, nagsisimula na tayo kung nasaan na kayo.
Yes.
Diba? And that will be a big help. But ang nakikita ko rin dito, I think more or less, we have the same idea in mind. No? Yung mga iba't ibang presentations, parang malinaw naman kung saan natin gusto tong dalhin. Pag malinaw na yon, pwede na nating ilagay kung ano yung mga steps na kailangan para maabot yun, no? But in your case, Donald, you've read the bill, you know the vision. From your perspective, can this be done in a year? Or less?
Alam mo,
Or
Mr.
I know
Chair-
it's difficult to say, no?
Yeah.
Pero just to help us lang understand, sa tingin mo, how long would it take to...
Mr. Chair, it's always I always believe it's always the political will. Because the tech is always there. Alam mo who taught me blockchain? Were a lot of my students who played Axie Infinity. People ask me, pwede mo igawing very Filipino, very simple? Sabi ko, mas magaling nga sila sa atin eh. They're there, they're ready. But it's us who are here who has the power to create change. Tayo ang magsabi, tayo nag-wait lang. Diba? So I think we can if there is that political will. There will be a lot of changes from an organizational perspective, from the lawmakers and all of us, right? Pero once we said let's do it, and tama ka, Mr. Chair, eh, because all of us here, we're all in a way, if we apply parang blockchain and then put it into a bill, it's very academic. All of us now, we're testing and testing. So let whoever has the best case later on, diba? And no one will have it eh. So we will learn from each of us, and then now we can provide the best solution.
Yeah, and this committee can be the venue for
Yes,
that, no?
yes, sir.
Sabi nga, kung gusto, maraming paraan.
Yeah.
Kung ayaw,
Yep.
maraming dahilan, di ba? Ito, gusto natin itong mangyari. So we will do our best to make sure this passes. And it's interesting na this can be a convergence point, no? Different political parties, different persuasions, executive, legislative, local government, pwede magtulungan para dito, no? Okay, thank you, Donald. Anyone else? Lee from SGV or... Oh, I'm sorry, si Ms. Chongson pala first, no? Ms. Chongson.
Thank you. I'm also with Blockchain Council. In fact, I'm a trustee as well. I'm also trustee of FinTech Alliance. Thank you for inviting us. And I think this time around we're blessed that we have people in government understanding blockchain and deeper into technology. And as Donald said, if there's political will, this will work. We've established, and I'm the one doing the governance framework as far as the IC is concerned, and we have established 7 pain points And out of the 7 pain points, budget, procurement, awarding, implementation, monitoring, payments, acceptance of the project. But we want to also look at the possible risk side, which is which blockchain to use, which blockchain company to use. Should they follow certain standards, procurement standard? Should they follow the revised corp? Should we depend on them in terms of integrity? Those are the things that we're looking at as well. Integrity of the data, that's already been mentioned, so I won't expand on that one. Integration of the data. So we need to actually have a collaboration with DBM, COA, DPWH, LGUs, if we do implement it there eventually. I did mention which technology to use, so it's kind of not just limited to blockchain. It's a combination of AI blockchain, as mentioned by Attorney Third, which people to put here in terms of looking at integrity, because and the responsibility of the people will they will just be watchdog, or do you want them to be part of the approval? That's something that we can cover in the framework. Data integration, I have mentioned already. Training is important for everyone and to actually understand our roles. So happy to advise that FinTech Alliance, together with Blockchain Council of the Philippines, we are very supportive, but we need to also ensure that we do have proper governance framework.
Yes. I mean, coming from all the presentations, lumalabas ho talaga na may mga quick wins eh. Quick wins is publishing the important information. No? Whether it's on the chain or just as a bulletin board, we can begin there. Eh. Yun yung pinakauna. And then as we migrate towards the blockchain, it's also choosing which agencies we will undertake first and eventually up to what process. Ang maganda, end-to-end. No? I think si Ken talked about all the way until fulfillment. No? Pero tama rin si Sec Henry, hindi naman perfection ang hanap natin dito. Ang hinahanap natin, may nagagawa tayo kaagad. And every step towards transparency is a step towards good governance. So, we will try our best to fashion the bill in that sense. Na hindi siya tipong kailangan tapusin bago i-publish. We can do it progressively and put milestones so that by next year, if we're able to pass this before the end of the year, by next year, may makikita na yung taong bayan pagdating sa transparency at yung ating hangarin for good governance. Okay, with SGV, want to say something? So, who wants to say a few words? Okay. Sige, you can come here. Can we go quickly? Let's go from right to left na lang.
Okay.
Lee, can go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. So, for SGV, we would like to give our full support, especially to the spirit of what this bill is trying to achieve. It's really about creating the transparency and the permanency of the record, right? But I wanted to really talk about SGV. We're known as an audit and accounting firm, but essentially we're a multidisciplinary firm where we have advisory and consulting, and that's why we are so passionate about this, because we can bring in the discipline of audit, of the process, and then marry it on how you can do it with technology, right? What I would like really to remind, I guess, the entire committee, right, is we talk about technology. I'm so happy Mr. Chair mentioned that you will have the technical working group that will look at not just specifically at blockchain, although blockchain addresses the salient points, but being open to the other technologies that need to enable it completely. Always think about the triangle, right? People, Sir Donald, you mentioned that. People is the forefront on how we're going to make this work. Process is still there. Technology, we know we can do it, right? We know we can do it. But people and process can still be a gap, which we need to be able to address. So really 3 points I'd like to share. The first one is, if we're going to make this publicly available, right, to the common folk, we need to make sure that, yes, blockchain has the records, but the understandability of what it is, the user experience, needs to be clearly designed. So that would really empower them to be able to make a comment. Of course, we have to control, as Sir Donald mentioned, who has access to this, but making it available, understandable is quite crucial. Number two, that the topic of technology on AI, I'm happy you mentioned that, Mr. Chair, because yes, we can have all of the records recorded there, can be garbage in, garbage out, but with AI, you'll be able to find out the trends that you will not be able to see manually if you just look at the data itself. So the analytics part na nakalagay po on top of that needs to be put forth and really designed as part of the objective. And last but not the least, infrastructure-wise, I know we need to really look at performance if we're going to have access to this. Cybersecurity, of course, needs to be there. And really the design of inclusivity, because obviously if we have cell phones, most of our country already use that, but being conscious of people, how are they able to access this so that they can participate in this forum? So, but definitely SGV would like to give our full support to this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Salamat. Mr. Minerva?
Good noon, Mr. Chair. Kami actually is more of developing the blockchain at the core level, meaning at the algorithm, encryption, as well as the consensus engine. Yun talaga yung trabaho namin as a company. No? Based on what I observe, I just want to reiterate that the difference between putting a digital asset in a blockchain and in a normal database, the difference is shared. So if you put your digital assets on the blockchain, it is shared real time. That's the only difference, Mr. Chair. And what happens is, if you share the data to the public, magiging ano siya eh, yung creativity ng public lalabas, o yung ingenuity ng Filipino lalabas. So magpa-pop up talaga yung mga website, including Watchdog website, Anti-Graft website, etc. So it is very important to actually share the data. And that is what I'm trying to emphasize here, that the blockchain bill is actually sharing the data to the public. Yes, and it has to be permissionless, Mr. Chair, if I'm going to decide on this. Because if you do permissionless data, anyone can just access it. Academe can access it, citizen can access it, etc. And with regards to the budget or the flow of systems, what I've seen, when you have a problem with the budget, is that what you do is that the asset, like for example, the contract, the GAA, whatever that information is, you use it as a control to flow the digital asset. It could be a token, no? And you use the token to actually ramp it out as a proof to get the actual money from the bank. So if the inspection is not yet submitted, then of course the tokens cannot be released and therefore cannot be ramped off to the bank. That could be a control, Mr. Chair, and that could be one of the things that you could do. Also.
Thank you, Harold. Actually, the bill doesn't talk about tokenization. Eh. No, I think was it Bayani who mentioned it earlier. We stopped short of that. No, I don't know if BSP will have something to say about that, but we stopped short of it in the version of the bill. Pwede natin pag-usapan, or it can be a follow-up. That becomes an even bigger question kasi about tokenizing our budget and funds of government. But right now, the current version stops short of that, as you know. No? So we can discuss that maybe in the TWG. But coming from all the discussion, maganda nga i-phasing natin siya. No? And we'll see if that is a necessary phase down the line. But right now, let's do the first, which is sharing the data, making it available for free. No, thank you. Hindi ho lahat kailangan mag-comment. Yung mga gusto lang po mag-comment. Let's keep it short, please. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I wanted to add to the discussions earlier is that, so while this bill actually directly addresses the problem that we're facing right now, we actually should view it not just as a narrow reactive measure, but really as a strategic and essential step towards the comprehensive digital transformation of our public financial management. So a modern PFM system is critical for enhancing efficiency, improving policy effectiveness, and bolstering public trust, all of which are cornerstones actually of a stable and competitive economy. So all of the things that we're doing actually translates to economic growth as well for us. Of course, as mentioned earlier, the success of this landmark legislation hinges on a sound implementation strategy. We've mentioned, and we agree that you need to establish a sound and strong legal risk management and governance framework, adopt a first principles approach, meaning we don't just digitize the current process, but use this as a chance to rethink the way that we do it. Third would be to develop a national roadmap for emerging technology so that it's in conjunction with the other technologies as well. And then invest in capability building. So the thing is that when we start to adapt these principles, we can see it as the Philippines now successfully implementing a world-class digital public financial management system that enhances fiscal discipline, improves public service delivery, and strengthens the foundations of public trust, and also investor confidence in the Philippines.
Thank you. Sa tingin ko, kung magawa natin to, it will speed up the digitalization of everything else. Kasi the budget, dyan nag-emanate lahat ng government transactions eh. So, if the goal is to digitalize everything, because if everything is digital, everything's more transparent, more interoperable, more usable, this could be the lever that could be the tipping point for that. No? Yes, Prof, please.
Hello, Mr. Chair. Idadagdag ko na lang po, isang item is, baka since we're in the process, we want it digitalized, baka we can include to have an interoperability standards na rin as part of the bill. After finishing this, madali ang digitalization for the...
Yes, thank you, Prof. Definitely, that's important kasi gusto ho natin ma-analyze yung data. Not just for it to be seen as a PDF, but that it can be analyzed, it can be visualized, it can be used by common citizens. So thank you. Who else wanted to say something? Sige po, si Sir Franz, and then si Mark, Attorney Mark, and lastly si Attorney Eugene.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a quick comment. So we fully support the bill. The OST fully supports the bill. From the technological point of view, we welcome this as a positive development, specifically for local researchers and local startups. So nabanggit po ni Attorney Third, diba, they were supported by the OST. They were startups. So it's very good to hear na yung mga local initiatives natin na-recognize, and they have now this bigger avenue to have their locally developed solutions be absorbed by the government. So yun lang po, this is a very positive development. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Attorney Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, so we appear today on behalf of the board and members of the Blockchain Council of the Philippines. So we'd like to think we represent most of the Web3 and blockchain community and licensed blockchain and crypto players. So, Mr. Chair, we'd like to share with you, of course, that we fully support this. We really think that what makes Senate Bill 1330 historic is its ambition, no, Mr. Chair. So, of course, like we have a prepared statement we shared with you, but I'll just cut it short. Of course, with ambition, it must be tempered by practical design. That's why we're really pushing for a phased implementation, as we have been saying here repeatedly. It is also clear to define, we clearly define governance. We have been saying repeatedly earlier, immutability, right? So what's important there, Mr. Chair, is of course, of course, it prevents tampering, but you have to understand that the mistakes there, if sabi mo nga, garbage in, garbage forever. So we have to make sure that there is strong data governance, no, with respect to putting this into the blockchain. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that, Mr. Chair, blockchain is not new to the Philippines. The BSP is here. We can learn from the BSP. We're one of the few countries in the world that has the virtual currency exchange license or regulation since 2017, Mr. Chair. Our SEC, led by Attorney Paulo Ong, we have the Crypto Asset Exchange License, CES. Of course, a license from the SEC. Our central bank also initially conducted studies pertaining to central bank digital currencies, no? So CBDC. So they have studied this technology already. So I think we can learn from that. Siguro just to close, Mr. Chair, on the legal side, I'm also kasi a lawyer, no? I think what we just have to look at is, let's say, the enforceability, sige medyo technical na ng konti, of smart contracts, di ba? Yan yung sa likod ng blockchain eh. So you have to you've been asking, Mr. Chair, do we need more laws? I think, of course, this one would really instill, no, the putting the budget in the blockchain. But we already have the basic laws, Mr. Chair. Digital contracts are already covered, and digital signatures under the E-Commerce Act. So putting the budget in the blockchain covered yan. Per problema na what we need to study further is enforceability of smart contracts in court, in accounting standards, and the like. So that's, I think, in the technical working group, we need to study that further.
Thank you, Attorney Mark. Maraming salamat. Sige, since we're going right to left, Attorney Eran and then Attorney Eugene.
Thank you po, Mr. Chair, for being recognized. what we'd like to say is that we are in full support of SB 1330. Ang pinaka-importanting factor dito is that pag naging successful po ito, pag naging successful po ito po ang magiging pinakaunang legal definition po ng blockchain. Because in my humble capacity as an academic, because I also teach lawyers sa MCLE at UP Law Center. And I teach Lawyer's Guide to Blockchains and Smart Contracts. What I always emphasize doon po sa mga lectures ko is that for now, wala pang legal definition. So in a way, maaari po siyang maging stumbling block. But through this SB 1330, that will be the first stepping stone how blockchain will be legally defined. Because ang pinaka-importante din po, since we have to conform with the principle of technology neutrality, through SB 1330, we will be defining blockchain as a generic technology. Then, on the succeeding mga legislation, we can define it further in a use case specific po. So this will be the very first step po sa pag-implement po ng blockchain in our legal system. So, in relation po since for the people din, we have to understand po the concept between law and technology. Since nung panahon pa ng unang nabubuhay mga ancestor natin, itong dalawang konseptong ito, lagi po ito nag-uunahan. Lahat naman po tayo siguro nag-aral ng history. You will always notice sa ancient history, hindi po basta-basta nako-codified yung mga, even the most basic technologies. Bakit po? Kasi itong dalawang konsepto na ito, nag-uunahan po ito. So, in relation sa SB 1330, we can strike a balance between the two. Kasi ang philosophy po dito is that we cannot put a Tesla engine in a 1900 Ford Model A vehicle. Ang ibig sabihin ko po nun, the Tesla engine is the technology and the Model A, figure of speech, is yung mga legal frameworks po natin. We just have to reinforce. Mayroon na po tayo. We just have to reinforce our laws. Yun din po, Mr.
Thank you, Attorney. And we will appreciate the support of PAFLA when we craft the law. Yung mga definitions po mahalaga. But I will repeat kasi we missed this. We were so excited with the blockchain, the budget bill, that di ho namin nakita that we were legislating the technology, and it's funny kasi in other bills sinasabi ko lagi na mali yun, so we also got some comments from netizens not to legislate technology, so we know that, and we will do our best to create some tech flexibility in terms of the technology, as well as pointing to the benefits of blockchain that we can see now that it has over other technologies that are currently in place. So, sige po, bilang panghuli, we'll have Attorney Teves. Attorney, sige, then we'll have Ken as one more final. Si Attorney Eugene po, hindi ko pa nakikita in 25 years ata. Magsama kami sa Student Council. Yes. Tama, di ba? In the 90s, right? No?
That's right.
That's right. Okay, Attorney, good to see you again.
Mr. Chair, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas lauds the good senator for championing the intent of SBN 1330 to strengthen transparency and control in public financial management. Now, BSP is here because our focus will be on payment finality, settlement, integrity, and systemic risk. Therefore, as we continue to finalize the details of the bill, it is important to understand, will it cover disbursement? This is very much needed to understand. Now, we've done some POCs, experimentation on the blockchain, DLT technology. We're also looking at possibility of tokenizing deposits, not touching public funds, but rather setting smart contracts at the back of the deposits. So these things can be explored.
Initially, the idea was just for transparency. I'll be honest with you. So, similar to a ledger or a bulletin board was the initial idea. I don't know if BSP would want us to go all the way to disbursements. Are you prepared for a comment on this already at this point? Or
not at this point.
Not at this point. But I guess during the TWG, we can discuss it further. Or we can put it as a further phase. But in the first phase 1 or phase 2, I think we just need to push for transparency. So similar to the Full Disclosure Act and making sure that the records are immutable, dun muna tayo magsimula. And then we'll move towards disbursements, smart contracts, other aspects of the value chain, which may need more reforms in the agencies. Ang worry ko kasi, attorney, is kung hihintayin natin yung mga reformang yon, baka hindi natin magawa yung una natin gustong gawin, which is to push for transparency.
That's right.
But of course, we will welcome BSP's suggestions, comments, and recommendations here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So let me have Ken, and then I'll give the last word to Secretary Henry. No? Sige po, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So kami po yung People's Budget Coalition. We're a group of more than 30 organizations pushing for a transparent, participative, and accountable budget process. With me is Tim Salomon of the Agri-Sector and Code NGO who's here. And we wanted to manifest, Mr. Chair, that the tragic truth is we, the people, have lost trust in the integrity of the budget process. And allow us to share a few principles po that the bill should respond to try to restore this trust. Yung first principle po is something that was mentioned a while ago, is that a technical solution will not solve a political problem, which is the current quandary in the Philippine budget process. Tech is a tool, but it's very important to decide to be open, to be transparent, to be accountable. The second is to restore public trust in the budget process. Reforms must strengthen 3 key pillars. All 3 should be addressed. First is transparency, pagiging bukas, that improves people's participation in the process, pakikilahok, and ensures accountability or pananagutan. The pitfall of many tech reforms is that they stop at transparency. We hope that this bill goes further. And then third is that reforms must address abuses in every step of the budget cycle, from preparation to legislation and accountability. So we in the People's Budget Coalition would like to propose features of a system, and we hope that the bill is tech neutral, to restore people's trust in the budget process. And allow me to illustrate using the flood control situation. The first phase is the budget preparation stage. Executive agencies must open the technical budget hearings in the DBM to ensure that what goes inside the budget in the National Expenditure Program are truly based on science, nature-based solutions like reforestation and integrated water resource management, not just cement, which is the current paradigm of our flood control system. What is heartbreaking, Mr. Chair, is that as disaster response volunteers like us who experienced communities na lubog po sa baha for 1 to 2 weeks, did you know that more than 1.2 trillion flood control budgets from 2018 to 2025, if properly used, could have already funded the major river basin master plans nationwide, which would have cost only 700 to 800 billion pesos, which is according to former DPWH Secretary Babe Singson. Imagine a system where in the DPWH, there is a multi-sectoral body of CSOs, hydrologists that can vet the submissions before they enter the NEP. Ordinary citizens and legislators can cross-check on a map or a satellite view whether proposed projects in the DPWH are part of the 18 major river basin master plans, and if they are not, tell already the President before it becomes proposed. Imagine a situation where people can say in the NEP and the legislative deliberations that this street was actually already paved and therefore should not be in the asset preservation program of the DPWH. What we need, Mr. Chair, is a publicly funded research program that supports these multi-sectoral bodies at the budget preparation stage, before it enters the NEP. Half-ghost project ba to? No? Itong programa na to, masasagot na po yan kaagad kung may multi-sectoral body sa technical budget hearings pa lang. Yun po yung pakikilahok na kailangan. Pangalawa po, sa budget legislation stage, Congress must end the abusive practice of secret congressional insertions, especially in the BICAM. What we really need is a truly open BICAM, supported by what we call an open budget transparency server that improves the quality of public participation. The tragedy with flood control is that they were inserted in secret at the last minute during the bicameral conference committee, whose proceedings are kept secret. So we really don't know who inserted what in the budget. And over just the past 3 years, 540 billion pesos net insertions in the DPWH were put without the proper studies or debate. Imagine a situation in a feature of this system, like an open budget transparency server, which can actually be already implemented today, Mr. Chair, if Congress decides to do so. Similar to how election results are reported during election day, mirrored by media and civil society observers. The server should show which programs, activities, and projects were added or deleted at each stage of the project process. This is already technically feasible using current unified account code structures and the program expenditure classifications, or the PREXI. We are ready to support such an open budget transparency server, Mr. Chair, because tama po kayo, napakahirap pong mag-analyze ng budget kasi iba-iba yung mga dokumento at napakahirap nitong gawin. The Congress must also open the BICAM discussions to members of civil society to live stream the proceedings. The current Senate resolution is a good start, but needs to include provisions on the open budget transparency server and also have enough time for people to actually review it. In the budget execution stage, there must be open contracting data standards, PhilJEP's open data, and fast-tracking the ultimate beneficial ownership registry, which I already discussed a while ago. And finally, in the budget accountability stage, a bill passing the independent commission must be passed to empower them to ensure that the investigations in the flood control scandal spares no one. Dapat po hindi lamang small fish, kundi yung masterminds po, yung managot. No, there are a few good bills already in the House filed by Representatives De Lima and Jokno. And the undergirding political incentives that make it hard to remove corruption. A system of campaign finance that rewards politicians who are rich to recoup their campaign expenses through government contracts. It's time to open SALNs. It's time to open the statements of campaign expenditures with the COMELEC. It's time for politicians to waive their bank secrecy rights, and it's time for a Freedom of Information Act, which we're happy that the Senate sponsored yesterday. These fundamental public financial reforms are needed so that this bill does not fall into the trap of stopping at transparency, but really doing transparency, participation, and accountability reforms at each stage of the budget process. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your time.
Salamat, Ken. We will ask si Secretary Aguda, may kausap lang, pero we will ask him to give the final word.
Can I get
sige po,
15 seconds lang, sir? I now understand what you mean when you said blockchain the budget. Because after this discussion, I realized you're invoking the principles of the blockchain, which is transparency, immutability, and accountability. In fact, now I understand when you said blockchain the budget, it means making sure that the budget is transparent, immutable, and accountable. And that's why I said, now I realize, I will tell you, the blockchain is the best option, right? Because the DNA of blockchain is those three principles. However, blockchain has to be done right. Because if not, we will be just putting all of these, so many options, all of these things. We have to be guided properly. So if blockchain is done right, then we can be sure that the budget follows that.
All right, thank you, Donald. So, Secretary Aguda, blockchain done right, no? So, I'll give you the final word. Can this be done? Kaya ba to? Kaya natin to, no?
Mr. Chair, kaya po to. Ang salaysay po ng pagsugpo ng korupsyon sa ating henerasyon, nagsimula po sa pagpapakita ng Pangulo ng mga flood control projects. Yan po yung sumbong sa Pangulo website. Nakita po ng buong bayan ang transformative effect ng digital, lalo na ang transparency. Kaya po'y natutuwa naman ako, Mr. Chair, dahil ito na ang tutuldok sa kasaysayan ng korupsyon sa Pilipinas. Ang bill nyo po na i-blockchain ng budget at lahat ng transaksyon na manggagaling sa budget, ito po ang forever na wala ng korupsyon, may liwanag sa lahat ng transaksyon at lahat po ng tao, lahat ng Pilipino ay masusing makikita ang transaksyon ng gobyerno. Yan po, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Secretary. Alam niyo po, if we're able to, kung magawa ho natin to, it's gonna be a big step. Hindi siya magic bullet, definitely. Marami pang ibang mga bagay na kailangan gawin, but this will be an important step. I would say it's the biggest step towards transparency in the last 20 to 30 years or even more. Kung lahat ng transaction natin ay ilalagay sa blockchain at makikita ng lahat ng tao. na ma-share, no? Sabi nga ni Prof kanina, sabi ni Harold kanina, na shared information na ito na wala kang babayaran at makikita mo yung lahat ng kailangan mo makita. You know, the old budget watch groups, what they used to do is they used to do a spot check. Feeling nila may probinsya na may corrupt na mga opisyal, doon sila titingin, hanapin nila yung mga tulay, kalsada, kung ano man, tapos mahalungkat nila yung kontrata noon at mahanap nila, tapos mabibring up dito. Unang-una, kung mangyari po ito, now at our fingertips, kaya natin makita yung mga kontrata. And hindi mo na kailangan ng isang NGO to do a spot check. Everybody will have that information available already. Pangalawa is with the proper AI tools, and I think we've been talking about this, interoperable na eh. Kaya mo nang i-analyze, kaya mo siyang makita through satellite imagery, kaya mo siyang maaral, and with citizens groups, kaya mong ma-check on the ground kung ano yung nangyayari. So suddenly, yung kayang gawin ng isang NGO na noon napaka-specialized, you can have thousands of that all over the country. Pwede siyang localized, pwede siyang city-based, municipality-based, province-based, lahat nakabantay. At kung lahat tayo nakabantay, then hopefully mas masusugpo natin yung corruption. No? Ito po yung pinakahangarin ng batas na ito. And we hope for everybody's help. Hindi lang po yung mga nandito, kung hindi po lahat ng mga nakikinig din. Right now, we will be referring SB 1330 to the Technical Working Group. We hope everybody will be as enthusiastic to support in the Technical Working Group. Rest assured po, marami pa pong pagbabago makikita kasi nung ginawa po namin yung unang version, opisina ko lang po yan. No? But ngayon po na nandito na tayong lahat, we aim to really make this a good bill, and we hope to fast-track this bill with the support of the executive and our friends at Congress, at makita ho natin yung napakahalagang batas na ito na mapasa at ma-implement at the soonest possible time.
Sa social media. And as I've said, both DBM and DICT started using blockchain technology in 2024. Nagpipigibak lang ho kami kay Secretary Mina Pangandaman. Thank you very much, DBM. Yeah. And thank you very much for filing the bill, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for filing Bill 1330. All these efforts show that we are not waiting for the future. And these are early steps, but they carry a very strong message. We're beginning to embed blockchain into systems because good governance should never be an exception. It should always be a way of life.